Stimming. Stimming. Today we're going to talk about, you guessed it, stimming. It's me, your girl. I'm here to talk about autism from the perspective of being autistic. Welcome to my channel. So we're going to get in to talking about stimming today. So what is stimming? It's self-stimulation behavior. It's seen as repetitive or unusual with body movements or noises, things that help you regulate your body to the environment around you. There are quite a few different types of stimming. There's the visual, which is the repetitive behavior with your sight. So if you're like many of us and you're like a squirrel and you're like, ooh, shiny, ooh, shiny, ooh, glitter. That is visual stimming, when you have to look at things that are really pretty. There's auditory, and that's when you are regulating to sound. So, for instance, I tend to make weird noises when I'm thinking and focusing, whether it's like tongue clicking. I've done that since I was little. Also anymore, I tend to do like this. I do that sound a lot too. It can be also seen as like when you talk to yourself as well, because you're talking basically anything where you have to make a noise, whether that be like a high-pitched squeal or something like I just demonstrated. There is tactile. That is related to touch and how you feel touching things. And I'm very a tactile kind of person as well, because like Squishmallows are very soft and I like how they feel. And if I get upset or anything, sometimes I just need a pet little buddy. Olfactory and gustatory is taste and smell. So some people will regulate themselves with eating their safe foods and the same things over and over again. Or smell. I'm also very much a person regulated by smell. If I need to ground myself, I put on a nice smelling candle or an incense that I like. I like smelling things to calm me down. And God help me, I might be, mispronouncing words wrong a lot in this video, so I'm so sorry. Trying my best. Proprioceptive. I hope that's right. And vestibular. That's the sense of balance and body awareness and input of joints and muscles. So some of us have something where the movement of our body doesn't really connect, but then there's others that like to twirl around. And there's the idea of stem dancing, where you like to be on your tippy toes and you like to twirl and just really do something with your body and your joints. I kind of do that a little bit with my hands quite a bit. I like to move. If I'm thinking, you'll constantly see my kind of like movements in my hands a lot. That's where you get the hand flapping a lot whenever we're excited. And yeah. And then there's also vocal, which kind of goes back to auditory a little bit as well, but it's with the mouth. So again, that's like sounds and stuff again, whereas auditory could also be more so of you listening, like to the same TV, movies, or songs. It can also be where you could hear yourself talk, but that could also be where you like to have noise come out of your mouth and it makes you feel better. So, some of these kind of intertwine. So, why do we stim? Good question, right? There's got to be a reason for it. So, There are things like overstimulation. There's where it's like things are very overwhelming. There's understimulation where you just can't, you just need to do something. You gotta move. You feel bored. You gotta do something with your body. There is pain reduction. So if you're feeling like you're in a lot of pain, you might end up stimming a lot, which that sometimes happens with me as somebody with chronic pain. Management of emotions. So if you are feeling overly sad or overly angry or any emotion whatsoever, doing this helps self-soothe you a lot. So a lot of times I rock back and forth if I'm getting very overwhelmed. I will pick at my cuticles a lot. I do a lot of things where a lot of us sometimes do it, where we do get pain, and it kind of helps regulate us. It's not always good things. So trigger warning, if that kind of stimming is upsetting for you, you might want to skip ahead a little bit. But I tend to pick at my cuticles a lot. I tend to chew on the inside of my mouth till it bleeds. A lot of us do things like scratching repetitively until we get really, really sore. It's not really great habits sometimes that a lot of us have when it comes to pain reactions. It's just something we try our best to manage. So what are some examples? I've gone over a few, right? There's finger flicking. That's where you kind of just like play with your fingers a lot. I do that a lot when I'm thinking, whether it's this or sometimes it's like, popping your knuckles, because that's that's more of a masking kind of stim that a lot of us have learned, because a lot of people crack their knuckles and it's not seen as really weird. So if you're unsafe but you need a stim, a lot of us will do things like that. There's hand flapping, which I know in particular, like me, if I find something really, really funny and it makes me really happy, I will hand flap. There's rocking back and forth. Like I said, I tend to do a lot, especially if I'm very overwhelmed or very upset. Just the motions of rocking back and forth will calm me down, and I know it helps a lot of others as well. So, and the same thing happens if I manage to find a chair that rocks. Let me tell you, I will be there all day, and I will just be rocking constantly. Whenever I worked in daycare and I worked in the baby room and we had rockers, I'd be sitting there like all day, and sometimes with no baby, and people would be like, why are you sitting there rocking? I'm like, because I feel like it feels good. There is also where what we call in the autism world T-Rex hands. So sometimes I know I don't ever really always realize when I'm doing it. Sometimes we'll just be in the grocery aisles and I'm looking for things and I end up in this position. It's more comfortable than, arms straight down, because you can feel it in your muscles, and I think that might be why a lot of us do it. I could be wrong if that's not why you like it, but I think that's why I end up doing it, because doing this feels more comfortable to me than doing this, especially if I'm stressed and I'm thinking. Some people might like arch their backs a lot when they're upset. There's a lot of us that tend to be known to have bad posture, and it's because being upright is a little harder for us, and being like bent over, and the feeling of being bent over can be more comfortable, at least for the time being, and then our backs ache and we deal with that later. But a lot of us in the community tend to have really bad posture, and it's more likely connected a little bit to the feeling in your body. It's there. So there's a big joke, not only in the autism community, but also in the LGBT community, where if you are neurodivergent or bisexual, you cannot sit like a normal person. Let me tell you, it's true. I personally always have to sit crisscross applesauce. I'm currently sitting on the floor right now and I'm crisscross applesauce, and I'm not showing you because I'm in my pajamas from the waist down. Yeah, but we never sit normal. We can't sit normal. It's uncomfortable for us just to sit. At least a lot of us, some of us, this might not affect you, but a lot of us tend to have to sit in a weird position that people find uncomfortable, but it's comfortable for us. So I know for me, sitting with my legs straight down is uncomfortable a lot for me, pain-wise, and comfort in general. So I always end up crisscross applesauce. I work with kids, so me sitting like this in a normal career setting isn't that weird, and it's wonderful. There is also biting your nails. That's another one that tends to be a masking kind of stem that people develop over time because people do it. So it's not seen as weird. For me, I never chewed my nails. But what I did do, and I still do, is feeling and rubbing my cuticles against my mouth. And because of that, it's in this kind of motion. People think I'm just chewing my nails, and I can do that in public, and nobody ever really noticed. So, and I had realized in some groups that I'm in for the autism community, some others do that too. It's just the idea of my cuticles being really, really soft, and it feels really good against my mouth. There's hair twirling. So a lot of us, that's another one you can kind of stem to, where people don't get too weirded out about. I was personally not a hair twirler. I could get why this is comforting, right? It's rotation, you're feeling the softness of your hair, and you just do this while you're concentrating or you're nervous. I already talked about cracking your knuckles. Some of us will shake our legs when we're anxious. That's another thing that I might do sometimes. So if you got a pen that clicks, you just click it nonstop. I never got annoyed by it. I always enjoyed clicking sounds. So like when people would get annoyed by this, I'm like, what's your problem? It sounds amazing. Click, 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 click. Also another thing is humming. I love to hum. I hum if I feel too uncomfortable to sing, which, by the way, singing is a STEM. I will hum constantly. I like the way humming makes me feel, and my vocal cords, I like how it sounds. It makes me comforted. It's also very important to mention everybody stems, including neurotypicals. It's just the fact that autistics and other neurodivergents, it is important for us to STEM because it helps us regulate more than neurotypicals. And neurotypicals tend to be less repetitive, and they can control their stems. We, however, cannot. When we stem, it's important for us to regulate our bodies and our minds. Neurotypicals, they can stop whenever they want. But us, if you tell us to stop, we will be scared to do that stem and then eventually find a different stem that we can do that maybe we won't be yelled at for. And here's the deal. Stop yelling at people for stemming. We need to stem. If we can't sit still, let us fucking squirm. Excuse my language. But it's true. Let us squirm. So, I mentioned some of my stemmings. I hand flap when I'm really, really happy and I'm laughing a lot. I like to rock back and forth because it's very calming, comforting. I finger flick. I also snap my fingers a lot, to the point that whenever I work with kids who are always like looking at their fingers like, how do I do it? How is this magic? How do I do it? How do I do it? And I like the sound. I like the way it makes my fingers feel. I tend to scratch a lot, to the point that it is an issue, and I will get really, really sore if I have any kind of feelings of itchiness or like the feeling of bugs crawling on me, which is very, very normal within both like having fibromyalgia, but also people who are neurodivergent has that like bug crawling feeling sometimes. And so I'll scratch and scratch and scratch until I get really sore and get hurt from it. I tongue click, which I also really enjoyed the fact that tongue clicking is like just huge in RuPaul's Drag Race because of Alyssa Edwards. And I mean, just drag in general. But also, one of my favorite horror movies, Hereditary, the girl would always all the time, which I also so enjoyed that. I loved it. I like to squish things. Squish. One of my earliest stims that I now know was stimming, which I never knew because I didn't know anything about autism or stimming, and I never witnessed anybody else do it. I would what I call cheek squishing. So I would take my knuckles and I would just dig into my cheeks as hard as I could. And that was all for pressure. We're feeling pressure in your body in some way is also a very big stem. So I would squish and squish and squish, and I knew it was weird when kids started asking me why I would do that at school. And so I would say, oh, I just wanted to warm my cheeks up. I didn't know. I could tell it wasn't normal when people were asking. And I didn't really have a reason to tell people what it meant. And I hid it for years and years and would never talk about it to anybody. Of course, my family knew because, like, I was at home. So I felt like I could do it. And they never told me not to, which I appreciate. Love you, Mom and Dad. Thanks for letting me stem. But as I got older and then I got my diagnosis, it connected. Like, that's stimming. To feel this pressure against my cheeks. I would do it, and will still do it, when I'm very anxious, or if I am just like in a super quiet environment and any kind of regulating I needed to do, I would just push in my cheeks. I mentioned the rubbing of the cuticles against my mouth. I still do that as well. Chew inside of my cheeks. Finger taps. So a lot of times too, whenever I'm listening to music or anything, and I'm not a dancer, I'm not good at dancing, so what I have always done has been finger tapping. So I would, like, if I get really into music, I just like tap all my fingers along with the music, and that is one way that I am able to stem. It's my version of stem dancing. I mentioned knuckle popping and the T-Rex arms. And then the arching of the back. I have terrible posture. I have had doctors tell me constantly to sit up straight. I'm just like, I can't do it. I don't know why you can't understand. I can't do that. It's not possible. So just like the hunching of the back, it's very hard for me to sit up. It's actually physically uncomfortable for me to be up like this. My body naturally goes like this. Singing. So fun fact, singing is absolutely a stem. It's definitely a verbal stem. So for a lot of us, whenever we like to listen to the same songs, it kind of goes along with the singing stem, especially because you know all the words. If you're listening to a new, like, I get so anxious listening to a new song because I don't know the words. I have to sing to feel good with my music. So I sing all the time. I'll make up real weird random songs about my day, whatever I'm doing. And working with kids makes that a lot easier, and it's not so weird. I mean, sometimes the children are like, please stop singing. Just stop singing. I relate it a lot to, like, Linda Belcher from Bob's Burgers, where she's constantly just making up weird songs. That's me. I like to sing. It doesn't mean I do it really well. I just like to sing. So talking to yourself is also a STEM. I don't think anybody ever realized that, and like a lot over the years, like I didn't realize that as well. I tend to talk to myself a lot when I'm thinking. And yeah, that's a STEM because you're hearing yourself talk, which helps your brain work to what you're doing. But it's also kind of a vocal kind of STEM too, because you're feeling the talking when you're talking. So I kind of talked about it a little bit, but the same songs, the same TV shows, and the same like movies over and over again, that is a auditory STEM that I constantly am doing all the time. So luckily I'm in it with a very supportive partner. He understands, like, sometimes I need the same things playing constantly in the background. And if he can tell that, like, I'm having a really hard time, he automatically puts on something like Friends, or some Harry Potter movies, or Bob's Burgers, or like King of the Hill. One of my comfort shows, which he's very aware of, like all of them. It makes me feel a lot better. Another thing that can be seen as stimming is video games. And it's very much one of mine. I've always played Nintendo since I was very, very young. I've had every single system that has come out except for the Wii U. And the reason why it can be seen as stimming is the fact that you are constantly moving your thumbs, but also visually, it's like there's all these bright lights. There can be all these really great noises coming out of games. And I think that's a STEM that tends to be overlooked as well. Because it's like, you're playing games. It's like, yeah, but there's a reason why it's so comforting. And then there's like throat sounds, which is like, so something very common in the community is like clearing your throat. I do it all the time. I don't know why, like, it just, like, it feels good. It's a sound that sounds nice. But yeah, that's seen as a STEM. And my favorite STEM is, drumroll, I STEM with my pets. Yeah, that's right. You can STEM with your pets. If I'm ever anxious or upset in any kind of manner, I like to have my cats on me because they're soft. Whenever they purr, the way they purr feels really good. I would STEM with my dog more often, but if you know me, you know that's not possible because she cannot sit still and she's kind of a basket case. Would love to STEM with her. She just doesn't make that possible. So I STEM with my cats. Feeling their fur against my face, feeling it with my fingers, getting their tail, like not pulling their tail, but I like to put their tail in my hand and gotta go whoop. And then feeling their little beans, if they let me. The little one I have doesn't really let me touch his beans, but my big boy lets me touch his beans, and it's wonderful. And weirdly enough, I kind of STEM when my cat licks me. His tongue is so rough, but I'm like, oh, he's kissing me, and I like when he kisses me. My boyfriend does not, because he's very loud. Like, imagine that in the middle of the night. Constantly. But I like it because he loves me. So those are STEMs. What are your STEMs? What do you do? Is there anything that I listed that you STEM, or is there a STEM that I didn't mention? I would love to hear what your STEM is. Mention it in my comments. Let me know if this video today helped you at all. And I would really, really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe, because it will help my channel get more visible in people's feeds to watch. And thank you. I'm going to try to keep putting a new video out every week, if I'm capable of it. I really hope that you are growing in liking my videos, and hopefully it helps you, because that's why I do them. I'll see you next week. I hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas or Hanukkah, and I hope it was safe, and if it wasn't, I hope you managed to have relaxed after it. And yeah, I'll see you next time.